And without having to go into each one of these one by one, I'll just briefly explain some of the other ones. So first, let's get rid of all this. I'm going to click the stopwatch on scale. It gets rid of all that animation. This is still back to normal. There's nothing else that's been animated. It's always good to move the playhead right back to the beginning when you're starting over, so you're not starting your animation right somewhere in the middle of the timeline. So we have other animation principles here, like rotation and opacity. If you want to see what they do, just take your mouse and go over the values and play with it. So you'll see this just completely rotates the text, and the opacity changes how much of the text you can see. So you have you can see all of it, you can see, some of it's kind of faded, or you can see none of it. And, this property here, it's real quick to do a fade in or fade out on text. Click the stopwatch, it's at 100. Move however long you want to the timeline, maybe you want, 5 seconds, and then take it down to 0. So when I put the playhead back at the beginning, it fades out. Now, this isn't in real time, it's a little slow, but you get the picture. Quick fade outs, and this is a very, very common way to fade things in and out in After Effects. So let's just turn that off. Animation's gone. So now let's move on to animating the individual characters themselves. And this you're not going to find in the transform section. Like I said, this transform section is for animating the whole layer, and you do that when you just want to do simple text animations like we've been doing. So I'm just going to turn off that caret here, and we drop down the text caret. It gives you all these options, and you see them and you're just like, oh, I've never seen this before, I don't know what to do. And that's okay, because we're not going to explore these options as much as you'd think. We're actually going to go over to the little animate. We have this little animate button here. You always have that when you create text in After Effects. And when you click it, it gives you all these options. Maybe words that you're familiar with seeing, like position, scale, rotation, opacity. All those words that we just saw in the transform section, we're seeing them again in the text section, depending on whether you want to animate your text using the physical text or animating it through the layer. It's your choice. But for this demonstration, we're going to animate some of the tracking. And a little review here. Tracking is the space in between each of the characters. It's a technique used in a lot in like movie trailers or movie title sequences or credits when they just want a nice subtle movement of the text. So when you click on that option, it gives you this new option box here. And again, it might seem very new and scary, but it's okay because we're going to walk through this step by step to make you comfortable with this. It always gives you these values in yellow. It means that you can change those values. I always like to put my mouse over it and just pull on it and see what things do. So see, when I pull on the tracking amount there, it makes the space larger in between each character or smaller. And when you get into the negatives, the text start running into each other. Depending on what kind of effect you want, that maybe something that you do want. So I'm going to put the tracking back at 0. It has a stopwatch, which means we can animate it. Created the keyframe right at the beginning of the timeline. And let's move this, say, 5 seconds again. 5 seconds on the time code. We need to drop another keyframe, so let's take this value and let's drag it. There. Now I've created an animation with change happening between 2 keyframe points. Let's move this back. Press the spacebar. As you can see, now the E, the X, and the T are moving away from the T, creating a nice subtle tracking animation. But maybe you want to, just affect some of the letters instead of all the letters. Well, we can do that. It's very easy. You just go right in here to the range selector, this little pull down, with all these options again, but don't get overwhelmed. We're just going to focus on one of the options, the end. And with our current animation, that's fine. We can take the 100% value here, and if we drop it, and the cursor, see the cursor moves all the way from the end of the text all the way into the E. And what it's saying is that you only want the animation to affect the tracking in between these 2 letters. So whatever's in between the two cursors this is what you're affecting. Everything else outside of it, so these two letters you're not affecting. So when you play the animation, yes, they all move, but if you notice the X and the T stay together while the E has the brunt of the animation, where this could be what you want or this could not be what you want. But I'm showing you that there is an option here for you to be able to adjust individual characters of the text. And if you don't like it, it's fine. We're not animating it. The stopwatch isn't clicked. We'll just bump it right back up to 100. You play it, it animates all the text, just like that.